Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully, everyone is already in. Perfect. Slowly coming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, welcome to week two, workshop two. Um, every time I teach, I always say time is flying, but I know it's only week two, but it does feel like that. The assessment isn't due to week four Monday, so we still got a bit of time. I do have quite a lot to get through today, just showing a lot of examples of resources. Which is also great for when you are out teaching. And then quite a lot of examples, again, not to overwhelm you, but to assist in how you may want to approach your assignment as well. So I'll answer any questions at the end, especially within the chat. It will definitely be at the end because it takes a bit of time going through it all. So I just want to acknowledge that I am on the beautiful Yugambeh country today and pay my respects to elders past and present, and acknowledge any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander peoples present with us today or watching the recording. So resources, as we know, teaching resources are so important in the classroom. They're materials, they're tools, they're aids to help us teach in our teaching process and facilitate that learning with our students. It supports teaching styles, it helps explain complex concepts, and it's also more engaging with students, especially if it can be more that interactive learning experience. So when it does come to looking at Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander perspectives, I've taken this snippet from Jessica Staines and I am obsessed with her. Jessica Staines owns Koori Curriculum. She goes out and does professional development. She creates resources. She has artifacts. And she goes all across Australia. So if you ever get a chance to go to one of her professional developments, I would highly recommend doing so. She is more for your early years, but you can get a lot from that. So what I like about this statement, so for many educators, embedding Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander perspectives in their curriculum is a daunting process. We all know that. This can be even the case for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander educators, as knowing about their culture and knowing how to translate it into early learning context can be two separate things. Words like offensive, stereotypical, and tokenistic, when used in reference to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander programs, can often be debilitating effect. Educators are often so worried about doing the wrong thing, they tend to do nothing at all and suffer from analysis paralysis. Now, I've done quite a lot of research and some presentations around Aboriginal education, and I always use that word analysis paralysis. I think it is the best explanation. We all tend to get it, no matter if it is Aboriginal education or not. It's that having that fear of, I don't know how to do it, I might do it wrong, I might get in trouble, and then we just don't do it at all. We freeze. So always think about that word analysis paralysis and try and get outside of that box and be brave and do something, can teach something, because oftentimes we all feel that analysis paralysis. So to try and get rid of that little icky feeling, my goal is to really empower you to feel confident and competent to embed Aboriginal perspectives in the classroom. That's the goal of my unit. Yes, you're finding resources, you're trying to get marks, but for me, at the end of the day, if you can go out into your classroom and feel that little bit more confident, then I feel that my job has been done. If you can walk away from this unit and seeing so many resources that you feel that you can embed into your classroom, please go do it. I look at this unit as a learning experience to share with one another and share passion and build each other up as educators. So remember, always ask questions. No questions are silly questions, especially in tutorials. I've had some really great discussions. Be open-minded. Always think about your own unconscious biases. We all have them without realizing. Challenge yourself and have fun, because I don't want this to be a daunting experience. So I'm starting off with a reflection question. What is my racial and cultural heritage? How do I know, and why does it matter? And I think that's really important to reflect on yourself. It's part of the IATSIS guideline when you're looking at using that for the assessment. It requires you to have some self-reflection questions before you take on looking at resources. So I always say as an educator, just stop, take a moment, reflect on your experience, reflect where you are, and the importance of this, especially when we tap into that unconscious biases. So the assessment with our IATSIS guideline, hopefully you've all seen it. If not, don't worry, don't stress, we still have time. So this is made by the IATSIS community to help you as teachers when you are out teaching to critically look at resources that are out there and to see if it is appropriate to use, looking at a variety of resources and where they come from. And as I said before, they've got those three evaluation frameworks. But for now, we would be only looking at that participation and positioning because we're not making or creating any educational resources. So we're looking at those two, participation and positioning. Now, I had a great discussion in some tutorials about, do I just look at this circle framework to help me write my response? Well, no. Hopefully, when you do open up your IATSIS guideline, you will then discover that they have some prompting questions. So again, up the top, when I said about that self-reflection, they give you some critical self-reflection tools to ask yourself about your own experiences, your histories, and where you stand. But down here is your core questions, and this is what you will be using when you are writing for your cultural value. Core questions to look at. Is the author an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander person? If not, who wrote the resource? So all of these dot points are the questions you'll be asking yourself when you look at your resource and then when you go to answer it. Especially when it says, is the author an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander person? Yes, but I would like more context. Where's this person from? What is their language group? I want to see that you've done a bit of a deep dive into the history to support your resource. As teachers, if you've got more understanding around the resource, you teach it better. Understanding about how Indigenous people are positioned in the resource. Are there any images in there that may be inappropriate or are accurate or are truthful? Looking at the terminology that's in there. Is it sharing any sacred sites or do they refer to any sacred sites within their resource? So these are just all questions to start getting you to think deeper into the resource. So this is what you'll be using and referencing within your work. Again, as I said, if you've not in-text referenced this, my markers will mark you down. So when we are looking for some resources, there is a gazillion of them out there and it does take time. But this website here for not only teaching, but for anything is called Supply Nation. Has anyone heard of Supply Nation before? Some haven't, some haven't. Okay, so what it is a non-for-profit website where all Indigenous businesses put their name, and it's just like a web page of all companies that you can look for that are endorsed and Indigenous business. So let me grab it up. It's like a yellow page, I would say. So you pop in here, you can search by categories, you can search by locations, and it gives you all different types of companies that are Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander. So you can't go wrong either within this to go, okay, I know they are absolutely 100% endorsed. They're Indigenous business. They are from Supply Nation. Even if you don't use this to find certain things, this is also great if you are ever at a school and someone says, oh, do you know any good professional development around Indigenous education? Jump onto this website. Oh, we're looking to build a bush tucker garden in our school. Do we know any gardeners that can do it? Jump on this website. So you can type in, I'll just do education. And then it shows you all the registered businesses, where they're from, all their information, and you click into it to find out more. On the side, it has your where they're from by state. If you want to go further and look into, it's got everything: environment, events, arts, construction. Where was my education? Education and training. And then you can break it down for more: cultural awareness, cooking classes, early childhood education. So it's a great little website and tool to look at. literacy and numeracy programs. Um, and you cannot go wrong. And it gives you all the information about them. So it's really fantastic. You want a florist, you jump on there and you can look up a florist. So it's pretty cool. So within our assignment, it does say to use resources from your local land or country. However, I do understand sometimes that can be tricky. So I've just popped this here about how, tapping into other cultures and other mobs can be appropriate. However, we must acknowledge that it not be a representative of all Aboriginal students in the school or the families or the community that you are in. So it's best practice to identify where your material is coming from. Just how they've done that example here. So if you are using a book or a story or dreaming from somewhere, it is best practice to acknowledge that it is not from the place that you are teaching on. I have just popped that little link down there if you want to have a look at this handout that gives you more information around that. Now, this is a wonderful resource. And again, you may see something today and go, oh, I've already started writing towards that as one of my resources. That's okay. As long as your two other resources you have individually tried to find yourself. I know it can be overwhelming when I'm throwing a lot of resources at you. So this one is by a local artist, Jenny. She is a tutor here at Southern Cross University, and she's created this beautiful little picture book, Pingin's Happy Day at the Beach, and it's all about local Yugambeh language. This is for your early childhood, maybe dabbling into primary, kindergarten, or prep. It breaks down language and then it in a story, and then she also has posters for numbers as well. Great resource looking for your younger years, educational value and cultural appropriateness, all there, especially if I was teaching on Yugambeh country. Another amazing resource, and so many people have done this in the past as well, I still think it's fantastic, is your Indigenous seasonal calendars. You may have seen this already. I got this one off CSIRO. There is a lot being made at the moment. You might find that there may not be one local to your area. So that also is really important to talk about because that'd be hard if you're explaining the seasons and it does not relate whatsoever to your area. But do jump on to down here, I've popped the link of all the different places that you can get your seasonal calendar. There is one at the moment. I did speak to one of the elders here, and I asked if this was Yugambeh seasonal calendar. And she did remind me to say, so this is from Tweed River. So a few of the local Indigenous land councils have come together to create one locally here, but I would say this is more for your Tweed Byron area more than your Yugambeh. But again, that's something you can speak about when you are writing. Again, I've just done a little example here. So if I was linking this, I've got the New South Wales syllabus. I'm speaking to what outcome it's going to hit, because when I speak about that educational value, I can align it very nicely about how we're learning about the different weather conditions and environment and the way that people live. And then I just popped an Australian curriculum. So science involves making predictions and describing patterns. So we might be looking at pattern making. So again, it is completely up to you if you want to use the New South Wales syllabus, the Australian curriculum, wherever you are and whatever you are comfortable with. A lot of people have been wanting to use Indigenous art, and that is absolutely okay. Again, that can scare a lot of people. It's just the way that you are going to use Aboriginal art. Now, I've taken this snippet from Belinda, who is a Worimi woman down near the Central Coast, and she speaks a little bit on this blog post about protocols about using Aboriginal art. So it is important to remember that within Indigenous art, there is important cultural information that is embedded within it. So when you are going to use the art in your classroom, it's important to consider whether your Aboriginal art lesson is authentic, ethical, and respectful, which means that you are not mimicking or using cultural appropriation, such as dot painting. So she just talks about here the harming non-Aboriginal people creating art. It's about having that understanding of appreciation of art and not appropriating the art. So that's something really thoughtful to think of. If you want to use an artwork, just think, I'm appreciating the art. I'm not trying to appropriate the art. Because there's lots of different styles of art across all different regions. Again, it's not that one size fits all that every Indigenous person does dot painting. If you've been in Katie Hotko's art unit, she speaks about that as well. There's a really good textbook around that of Indigenous people around Australia and their different styles of art. So, how would you want to approach it if you are going to use art? And there's lots of different ways. But she speaks about here if you're wanting to explore specific artwork and appreciate or have an art appreciation lesson, then you can look at those different mediums that Indigenous people are using in their art. You could be talking about the different colors, the different pigments, the different style. She then further goes on to say about never ask your students to dot paint, as this is not something that has to be culturally passed down for Indigenous people. It's not other people's place to do so. And then you can start looking at how artwork holds stories. So you may want to look at expanding how students create their own stories, whether that would be writing an actual narrative, whether it be looking at sand stories, which Indigenous people use, and I know a lot of early childhood centres do as well. Looking at how symbols can represent different things. So again, you wouldn't be copying and Googling Indigenous symbols and then you use that as a poster. I'd be more looking as a whole class or as a group, what type of symbols can we just make up on the spot to represent our own story, to represent our footprints, to represent our school building, to tell our own story. So I think that's more of a creative way for art appreciation. Again, don't be scared to look at art. It's just different ways that you can unpack it and explore it. This again, just referring to art, is 25 facts. What I like about this, it just explains how can I teach students about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander artists without appropriating it. And it just gives you some thoughts. Who is the artist? What are the main ideas and themes? And you can break it down. How does this relate to the world of my students? And then what are some of the ways students can respond to it? And they've popped here the looking at self-portraits, create your own portrait, design your own pattern, create a short film. So there's lots of different ways than just creating that specific artwork. And what stands out to me the most is how does this relate to the world of your students? It always comes back to that outcome. 1.1, know your students and how they learn. If you can relate it to your students' world, then it is authentic. Another example of if you wanted to use such like an artifact. So here, this is your clapping stick. So you can look at music, beat, rhythm. And I've popped that there to say if you wanted to use an artifact like this, I would explore where I would buy it from. So I've popped here, I would purchase this from Songlines. Again, you're not really purchasing this for the assignment, but I'm just saying where I would purchase it from. Who is the person that has made the clapsticks on this website? Because I'm doing my research. It is a proud Southeast Arnhem Land man, Russell, but he's actually now residing in Bundjalung country, gives him information. So when I'd be writing about this, I'd just be giving background information of who this person is using that IATSIS guideline. Again, what the clapping sticks are sitting on is a coolamon, usually where they would put ochre in or they would put a baby in or carrying food. Again, you can use this breaking down history. Sorry, I feel like I'm trying to power through as much as I can so we can have questions at the end. Has anyone heard of the Dreamy Mindful Stories before? This is also amazing, especially as adults. If you ever feel stressed or you need to zen or have some downtime, I definitely recommend listening to these. They're all just mindful stories from all different First Nations people. So I'm just going to show you. I've done this with a few different age groups and they all love it. So Dreamy, is it going to let me go back to the home page? Perfect. So Dreamy, you press listen now. It's great, especially if you have an interactive whiteboard for students to see the visualizations, or close your eyes and listen to the story. They've got two different series. If you click into series 1, again, if I was using this as a resource, I would pick a specific one. I'd be talking about probably looking at the journey to the center. It then gives you information about the artists, so where they're from. Ironically, she's Aranda. That's so funny. Anyway, this is where you'd get most of your information, making sure it's by mob, for mob, looking at your IATSIS guideline. Another favorite thing as well about this, if you're ever casually teaching, you can use, again, a hint, you can use their resource kit. It gives you what episode to listen to and activities linked to it. So if you want to do some deep listening, if you want to write a poem after it. Now, if you're using this for the assignment, I wouldn't be using this, this lesson plan. I'd be using a specific listening of the audio and then tell me what you're doing with it in more detail. This is there to guide you. And I believe they say, yes, it links to your curriculum outcomes. Again, I think they say they only do this up until year 6 perhaps, but again, you can use this for any age group. And then it gives you your cross-curriculum priorities. But an excellent resource if you're ever out casually teaching and don't know what to do or trying to get your thoughts together, pop this on. It's awesome. I've popped this here if you want to use a song for one of your resources. I've just popped understanding the themes and perspectives that are represented in song is really important. Who is the artist and where is he from? Again, I keep saying make sure you're doing a bit of background information, making sure it's appropriate for your age group. If you're going to be using something that perhaps has the stolen generation or any traumatic things that are involved or events for your older years, year 11, 12, or year 10 even, please make sure you're talking and referring to your culturally safe practice. You're talking about your pedagogy, making sure you're culturally informed and safe, especially talking about trauma-informed practice. Throw that in there and speak about that because you're just making sure everyone's safe within that classroom when you're talking about very hard topics. Another amazing place is the National Museum of Australia. They have so many resources on there, whether it be videos, which I've popped here, Charles Perkins talking about Aboriginal land rights, and it does give you some activities or prompting questions to ask students, but you can come up with your own with this. Even on the National Australian Museum, they have lots of images of artifacts that are great ways to explore, videos, music, lots of things. Again, make sure you're looking at where it's from. So if they're talking about a fishing net, what's the background and history of the fishing net, or who is the artist behind it as well. Healing Foundation. Has anyone heard of the Healing Foundation before? Sorry, guys, I feel like I'm talking 100 miles an hour. So I've had someone come out before to one of my old organizations. You look them up online. They do give free kits to teachers. It's like a big chunk of a kit that has all different sheets like this to use within the classroom. So Healing Foundation is an organization that partners with communities to address that ongoing trauma caused by the stolen generation. So a lot of people that have contributed to this is a lot of elders that are speaking about their stories. Again, making sure it is age appropriate. We're looking more probably for your high school years, but you can pull apart from things and make sure it is okay. So this one in particular, I love. It is just a podcast script, talks about season 2, episode 2, and you can do a lot of stuff with this in the classroom, whether that be English, acting, breaking, a lot of things. I won't give clues, but that's another great resource to use. Again, look up Healing Foundation and see if you can get a kit. Try and get as much as you can when you go out teaching. Now, this is by far my most favorite website is Narragansett. Has anyone used Narragansett before or out yet? I've seen a few people. It's my favorite. So again, they provide professional learning and curriculum resources. I believe in my diversity unit, I encourage everyone to sign up to it. If you haven't, definitely sign up to it. They've got fantastic resources to teach, fantastic resources in professional learning to do with teachers, and fantastic resources for you to continue your own learning. Again, if you're looking at any of the lesson plans, have a look at it and see what resources they specifically use to help guide you. I love that, Helen, you use it. That's awesome. Here I've got just something else I've found is a 500 words online language, something to explore the different languages across Australia, trying to revitalize this. Again, it is interactive. This is some literature. So again, if you are, a lot of people are talking about references, and you are to reference if you're speaking about something that is obviously not your own idea. So if you're using math and you're trying to explain something, again, this would be a great literature to reference. So this goes on about how does Indigenous knowledges and math work together, or how can you do it? And this article goes on about speaking how important symbols is. So using math as storytelling. Students explore the meaning of symbols and how it can be assembled to tell and create a story, and how that was initially done with Indigenous situations. Then students explore simple addition story by acting it out as a story. Then there's discussions to identify story elements. Students create their own symbols to represent the story. This step could be done in freestyle manner, so they give you information. I think that's so creative. This is obviously year 2 students' representation of addition with their little squiggly, their dots and their squiggly line to represent addition and their cloud to represent equals. So I think it's very, very creative. And if you're using something to back up why you're doing it, please make sure you reference it. It shows that you've gone that one step further to back up a reason why you've done it. Another fantastic resource, especially if you're looking at math and you feel a little bit stuck, they provide units of learning and ways to embed mathematics within the curriculum, because some people find that quite daunting, mathematics and science, probably mathematics more. This is another resource for mathematics. So it's like a handbook. Again, I would save this. Gives you, here it is. So the overview is basically about supporting you and guiding you to inspire you to embed mathematics and show that connection of Indigenous cultural knowledge within it. So in the overview, it speaks about why it's so important, having that cultural space, but then it gives you suggestions about how you can interconnect certain things like connection to country, shells, fiber, food, then how that can be embedded within mathematics, and they speak about it. So another great little resource to use. Again, it is very authentic, can also inspire you to create your own lesson or inspire you to add on, as we say, resources there to help you explain things. So embedding Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander perspectives through choosing authentic resources. I'm just going to show you this quick snippet video. It's also a nice little 2-minute break from hearing my voice all the time.
My name is Merle Cashman. I'm a Nugi woman from Quandamooka Nation and Kanju of the Thaipan people.
I'm Jennifer Kumsing. I'm a Gungalita Gadawa woman from Burketown and Doomadgee in the lower Gulf country.
I'm Caroline Aldrich. I'm a descendant of the Mawar Island people, which are the Central Island people of the Torres Strait.
Authentic is really important because it is made by an Aboriginal and or a Torres Strait Islander person. When you get an authentic painting, it tells the story, and there is always a story with a painting.
So looking at the books here, they are written and illustrated by Aboriginal people, and our children see themselves in this, or children of colour. So that's really important, the literacy.
Authenticity starts with you individually, inside of you as a person, and that should flow through the service. So if you've got artefacts in your service on display, then you should know the story behind those artefacts as well, the meaning behind them. And so that should flow down to the children as well. So the children could pick up one, they could tell you about that. Same with our flags. You know, if you've got the flags displayed or flying, that's beautiful. But however, to be really authentic in your practice, you need to know the meaning behind those flags as well, because our flags have meaning, symbolic meaning behind it, both the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flag. You know, that's what being authentic is all about. So it starts with you, inside of you first.
I think that's a really important key takeaway. It starts with you, inside of you. And that's why I keep saying if you're going to use resources from somewhere else or even on your country, make sure you're doing a bit of a deep dive into who that person is, who is the artist, who is the writer. Knowing a bit more information about them is authentic. You're doing your work. Again, the Australian Museum, when I was showing the ones of Charles Perkin, this is a different styled. If you wanted to look at like artifacts or a Coolamon, you could reference this as a resource and you can teach towards this, finding out information. They also have Uncle Max speaking about the Coolamon and the purpose of it. Just another example of how you can find resources, especially if you wanted to look more at artifacts and you wanted to use it more of an online situation. So I'm not going to do this activity, but thinking about the IATSIS guide to evaluating and selecting resources, would this resource be culturally appropriate? I'm just going to show you. So if I'm looking at this resource, I can see it's actually giving me a whole lesson plan. The resource to me would be this book, Took the Children Away by Archie Roach. I already know who Archie Roach is, but if I did not know, I'd be investigating about who is this person, unit writers. It's giving us all the information about it. It's giving me even more information about what I could do for an assessment task. A picture book about forced removal of Indigenous children. It's for year 6. So again, absolutely amazing resource to use, knowing your audience. Again, this is a picture book around forced removal for year 6. It doesn't have to just be English picture books. This could be even for year 10. Picture books are amazing as long as you're using your trauma-informed practice, just making sure everyone is safe within your classroom. If anyone feels distressed, please make sure that you know the safe spaces to go to. And we're going to unpack the information from this and then relate it to your to any of your unit outcomes. So an example, strap writing, because I've got 7 examples. I'll try and whiz through them, but again, don't feel overwhelmed. They're there just to maybe help inspire, maybe understand how you want to do it, maybe give you some food for thought. So this is an image again. So resource number 1, the person's given me information about it. So this artwork or the painting and who it was created by. They've even given me their language group. Tick, tick, tick. They've given me so much information. They're showing me that they care. They've done that deep dive into who the artists are and why it's important. The significance of this painting is that it's mainly aimed at children, including First Nations children. So they've obviously done their research around the story behind it because it is public knowledge. It's already posted, so it will have information about it. This highlights the importance of elements of the country where the children live and their connections to countries and waterways. This artwork is for an early childhood setting in South Australia and can be conducted with group discussions with children. Again, I've snipped a lot of these, so I'm not showing you everyone's full writing, but I'm just giving you some ideas. This painting gives children Aboriginal cultural awareness and understanding and reflection on their own connection. Children will gain visual literacy in painting and explore fundamental principles of art. Through this painting, children can understand how important each element in nature is. So they're linking again to their early years framework for looking after nature, expressing the idea of sense of belonging because that is in your early years framework. This resource is one of the best resources that can be used, as is produced by an Aboriginal artist with collaboration and consultation with other Aboriginal. Again, they're getting those information from where the website's from, but having those IATSIS guidelining questions to help you unpack it. Example number 2 is a book series. They've linked them, referenced. This book series was written by Leanne Watson, who's a famous Aboriginal artist, teachers and book illustrators, and where they belong to, Dorog community. The book series of numbers, colours and shape and Australian animals under the sea is illustrated. So they're giving me context about what is in the book. Book shows identity, cultural perspectives. I've just taken a little snippet of evaluation using the guidelines. So they speak about essentially why is this culturally important. With foundation of integrity and self-reflection, the framework aims to ensure Indigenous education involves upholding respect. Following the framework, the resource must be made by or in consultation. Remember looking at that pyramid by mob, with mob, for mob, and then it goes further down. This person here gave me just that little bit of information about the IATSIS guideline. You don't have to do that, but then they go further down to tell me about the resource and discussing that information. Example number 4 is this amazing dictionary. Again, different layouts. They've followed how it's laid out in the assessment, description, age, learning area, and justification. Again, it is completely up to you if you want subheadings or no subheadings. Gumbenga Dictionary and Learner. He's given us information about where the book is from, extensive grammar and sentence. It's all about cultural guidance and information. Suitable for year 7 and onwards, absolutely, because that would be way too hard for your younger years. Learning areas English. And then this person has linked it to a lesson for in year 10, and they've given me the curriculum link. And then they speak about how they would use this book within a lesson, talking about identifying local places and landmarks and reflect on that language, looking at relationship and declarations of belonging, talking about as well just not the language, but using this resource and activity to tie knowledge to present and place. And then he goes into the evaluation. So following the IATSIS guide to evaluating, understanding, this resource is of highest quality with numerous illustrations, maps, and subsections. So again, if you're looking at a book and you physically have the book, you may want to look into, is there pictures in there that are portrayed in the right way? Number 5 is another book, Nature All Around Us, giving us a little bit of information about the book, where it's from. It's written by a Bundjalung woman, captures the wonder of nature. Again, I see straight away that you are doing your research. This book will be used in kindergarten for children from age 3 to 5. Educators will use this resource need to acknowledge that is not your country specific material. That's great to acknowledge that, because my markers will go, okay, that they have a great understanding that it's from somewhere else. The book's content is open to interpretation. Educators can create personalized learning experiences that are meaningful and relevant. The book's focus on nature is a great starting point for discussion with the children, and then they go further into how they would do it. They've even given an example. For example, children are encouraged to discuss the local plants, animals, or landmarks in the natural world they encounter daily. This approach fosters a deep sense of belonging, connection to the environment. Resource number 3 is a song. Then they go down into telling me where the song is for, who's it by. It's actually from a writing project for reconciliation or a RAP plan. The target of this resource is children from 3 to 5. So again, easily from our markers, understanding.
Get them out in a moment.
Emphasis communication skills. The song engaged children in listening, language, and development. So they're linking it to the early years framework. The song offers an excellent opportunity for educators to introduce the language. Through the song, children can experience the connection between language and music and tradition. This person's gone into detail about how they're going to teach a song or use the song within their lesson. Playing the song, encouraging children to hear the words, clapping, dancing. Again, if you're doing primary or high school, you'd go into different types of details. And then go into talking about the IATSIS guideline. Why is it appropriate? It's created with mob. The song is created through partnership with local Aboriginal elders. That's one of the things as well in the IATSIS guideline. It says, if not made by an Indigenous person, has it been done in partnership with either an Aboriginal education consultative group, if you're in New South Wales, with any Aboriginal elders or community members. So that's something to think about as well. This one I showed last week in tutorial, but again, this is just, did not realize I was honing in on the early years today. This one is just a Gubby Gubby Bush Tucker Girl book about language, easily telling me the age, learning area, and the justification of use, explaining how this book would be used in a lesson, and even gave me some extended learning, creating a classroom bush tucker map, inviting children to create their own artistic representations. So lots of different styles. And then lastly, I thought this was so creative. This is Bungjalung Weavers. They've used this book. So the student doing this was doing textiles for all three of her resources. She's gone into detail about what this book does, weaving practices, knowledge, stories, and then explains how she would use this within the New South Wales syllabus for stage 4 or years 7 to 10. Even popped in the outcome code, investigate the design features of a range of cultural groups. Bundjalung Weavers explore how weaving forms connection, harmony, and shared knowledge. Then she breaks down information around that. In this lesson, students will explore a range of traditional weaving techniques and stitches, exploring cultural significance. Working in groups, each group is assigned a specific stitch. Each group will analyse the purpose of the stitch. For Indigenous people, weaving is a form of cultural preservation and storytelling. I think that is very creative, that you can see this student went into deep thought about how she could embed this authentically within her lesson, especially with it being quite hard with textiles. So questions that I have had is, I can't find a resource. Does it have to be related to my local area? It doesn't have to be, so it's fine if you choose from somewhere else, but please make sure you're acknowledging where it comes from and why it might not be directly related to your land. What does your layout look like? Can be any way you want, any way you interpret it. Can the age and stage learning areas be different? Yes, it can. It's up to you. So you may want to have different stages or learning areas for each resource, or keep the same age and learning area for all resource. I always say what you are confident in with your teaching skills. So obviously, if you're not early childhood, don't do early childhood. Do what you're going to be confident in. And then if I analyze a resource and it's not as appropriate, can I still keep it? Yes, as long as you critically evaluate why and look at the strengths and weaknesses. I do say try and steer away from that, but it may have certain things within there that you may want to speak about if it's appropriate, or suggesting alternative things, especially if you're speaking about something from a different land or different mob, you might want to suggest alternative options as well. That is completely up to you. So if you are doing your early years framework, a few people have asked how to connect it. I've just popped a link here. You're more than welcome to use the outcome, and then underneath I've popped another arrow explaining how you can do it, or how you can write here as an example. Another one, if you want to use your Australian curriculum, go for it. Lines with Year 7 Science, then you pop your Australian curriculum down. Or if you want to use your New South Wales syllabus, go for that either. Pop that in because it will help when you're explaining that educational value. How is it hitting that outcome? How do they relate so nicely together? So week 4, Monday, 11:59. So we've still got 2 weeks. Please make sure if you feel that you are going to be late and you have reasonable documentation, please get an extension because I hate to see people lose marks. I believe you don't need documentation for 1 day extension, but please, 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 if you do feel like you need an extension, start to investigate into it now, because you can lose marks quite quickly. 3 resources. Again, as I say, follow the task instructions and make sure you look at the rubric that's going to assist you. Alrighty, open to question time. I'm sick of hearing my voice. Anything that I can help you guys with? Gonna
Hi,
try and
Madison.
follow through. Hi, Georgia.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I have a quick question about the word counting for each assessment. Sorry, it's a general question, not just for this unit. My question is, are we going to be penalized if we write a little bit less or a little bit more?
10% over and 10% under is what our guideline is. So usually if we're looking at ridiculous pages, my markers will stop. But yeah, 10% under, 10% over.
Okay, and that
Yep.
would be acceptable. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Courtney.
Hello. I was looking at doing the seasonal calendar that's been created by the Awabakal mob, but I've just been trying to it's hard to find out, it's not identified on the website if the creators are First Nation. Like it says the project team is developed by Miramori Aboriginal language, and it says 3 people, and I've done some independent research to see, but it doesn't specifically say what country they're from or language type things. I'm just trying to see how to overcome that barrier.
So what website is it from?
It is from awabicallanguage.org.au.
Let me have a quick look.
I can send the link if that's easier.
That'd be great. Another place I would also reach out to is Wallatuka at the University of Newcastle too. They've got some great resources. Oh, perfect. Here's your link.
Yeah, because I went into the acknowledgements and it's got the project team and contributors and stuff. But yeah, I guess it just doesn't explicitly have a little blurb about them.
What's this say? Very interesting. Local community groups, elders, and knowledge holders.
Yeah, so if you go more acknowledgements.
Boolaroo. Who are these people?
Yeah, so if you scroll up.
That is very interesting because this looks like an absolutely fantastic resource.
Yeah, and because when it goes if you click more and then it goes acknowledgements, it does provide names and stuff. So I can do a deeper dive, but I just felt a bit uncomfortable calling up and being hey, are these people First Nation?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I think I know
I'm very surprised it doesn't have. Oh, here. So the LALC is your local Aboriginal Land Council.
Okay.
So yes, that's totally fine. So if I was you, I'd be saying this is endorsed by the local Aboriginal Land Council.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Sorry, I felt like I was going insane.
No, that's okay. And I'm
out.
surprised they don't have more detail or say where they're from. But yes, LALC is your local Aboriginal Land Council.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Kirsty.
Hello, I have a quick question. I'm using some videos because I'm a food tech and textiles kind of person as well, but so I'm trying to I've got a video, it's from SBS On Demand, and I'm trying to, and it looks like it's linked to NITV and things like that. So would I be referencing aligning it with those sorts of foundations?
Yes.
Okay. And my other question is, if I'm using a video and my way of helping the kids unpack the video is to have a worksheet, if I refer to the worksheet, do I need to also upload the worksheet to be a part of, because that's two resources then, right?
Yeah.
Thought
You
so.
can, if you're feeling crazy and you want to add an appendix, you can, but you won't get marked down or more. So yeah, don't worry about it. All good.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mudasa.
Yeah, medicine. I've got two questions. The first question is that in this assignment task one, we have to provide three references, right? Three resources.
That's correct.
Yeah, and so my question on this one is that for each resource, do we need to explain part one and part two for each resource, or
Yes.
okay,
Yeah. So
yeah,
each resource, you have to answer all of those questions for
yeah, that makes
each
it,
resource.
yeah, that makes it clear. And my second and last question is that um, I was looking at the rubrics, and it says that 10% is for the academic writing.
Yes.
So this academic writing is mainly the references that we will include, and it should be of the APA strictly.
Yep. So, yep, please make sure you reference in APA 7th because you will be marked down in it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sarah, I'm trying to go through any of the hands up and then I'll jump through back to the chat.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay.
These girls actually have a special something they want to sing to you.
I would love to hear it.
Welcome to the country, Jinkiwawa. Are you going to sing it? No. No, do you want to sing it?
Jingiwala, Jingiwala, with the band. Jingiwala, 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 with the band. Good morning, good morning, good morning, how are you? Good morning, good morning, good morning, how are you? Here's a land, here's the star, here's...
You forgot? That's okay.
Hey, that was amazing. You are so brave. Thank you so much for that, beautiful girl.
And then we a gentle hands.
Do you want to sing that one more last bit loud, really loud? We all live.
The gentle hands.
Where do we live? Oh. Anyway, they've
That
been
was
dying.
amazing.
They've been dying to sing that.
Thank you for sharing. That
That's
was really
what they
beautiful.
learn at. That's what they learn at their daycare.
I loved the hand actions as well. How beautiful.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Good girl.
Caitlin.
Hi. I just have a quick question. I don't know if this applies to anyone else's discipline, if they're having the same thing, but with English, looking at NESA, it seems like they're bringing in a brand new curriculum starting next year. Should I, because that's the one that I'll be working with when I am a teacher, should I be referring to this new 2024 one or stick with the current 2017 one?
For this instance, I would say do whatever you feel comfortable. If I was you, I'd probably maybe look at the one that's going to come out because then you can kind of use that for future.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking that. I'm not going to get marked down for doing that at all.
No,
Okay,
no.
cool. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to quickly power through the chat before anyone has to joof off. If you've created a table for each resource, is that all right? It should be in a report form. I'm unsure how, if you've got maybe your resource in a table and then maybe your writing underneath, you can put it all in a table, but as long as you've got that academic writing style, that's fine. For your references, yes, you can have it at the end of your reference list. Making sure I haven't missed anything. Looking at someone's book. If you're looking at, that would be a book, the Say Yes one. That's when you start to look into, is it done in consultation as well? So if it's something that is also shown or mentioned on the IAPSIS website, absolutely, that means it's done in partnership, and they are saying that's totally fine. So I would use that as well as a speaking point, explaining that. But I love that you've popped in analysis paralysis. It's so normal. If not, I hope I haven't missed anything. Thank you so much for being so patient with me, yapping all your ears away and basically lecturing you guys. If you have any questions, please pop it on the discussion board. There's been some great questions. If not, oh, Helen.
Yes, hi Madison.
Hello.
Hi, I'm in Athens at the moment. But anyway, just with the
Gorgeous.
thank you. Just with the with each resource, like you got part 1 and part 2. Can we just in each resource have part 1 and part 2, the references and everything, and have 3 individual steps, or do you want the part 1 first with the 3 resources, then you do part 2 with the 3 resources?
Completely up to you. So some people have done part 1 and shown like resource 1, part 1, resource 2, part 1, and then they did part 2 separately, or you can mold them all together and have part 1 and part 2 together underneath one resource. Completely whatever your writing style is.
Okay, so like for part 2, it's like 1,500 words, yeah?
No, so the whole thing together is 1,500. So you're looking at about 500 per
500 words
resource.
per resource. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Madison.
You are welcome. All right, well, everyone, have a fabulous evening. Enjoy the tutorial tonight. And if I see you in my tutorial this week, I will see you then. Have an amazing evening, and I will add these PowerPoints ASAP to the Blackboard.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye. Have a good night.
You too.
Sorry, Madison?